The difficulty in convicting police and holding them accountable is not because we don't have policies in place, or it's not because we can't see what they're doing. Legal frameworks have been created that allow them to use extremely high levels of violence with almost no accountability. I don't think that police reform, more training, more police community encounter sessions are going to get us out of this mess. That's the bill of goods we were sold 6 years ago in the wake of the police murders of Mike Brown and Eric Garner and Tamir Rice and so many others. These reforms don't work, and they can't work because they fail to understand the nature of the problem. They imagine that this is a problem of a few bad officers or bad attitudes or implicit bias, but this is a problem of a structural political project of criminalizing the poor and most marginal communities in our society rather than dealing with their real problems. The point of this movement is to do a complete rethink on why we've turned every social problem under the sun over to the police to manage. We need to get them out of our schools, out of the mental health business. We need to end the drug war. We need to decriminalize sex work. We have to work with communities to identify the specific public safety problems that they have that have been turned over to police to manage, and then work with them to explore different models that are available out there about how to address those concerns in ways that don't rely on armed police. I think people imagine that there's some alternative force that will replace the police, and that is not at all what people are talking about. They're talking about looking at the specific public safety challenges that they face, because communities have real challenges. There's violence, there's drug overdoses, there are mental health crises, there are failed schools. So we have to develop specific interventions to address those things. Things like cure violence programs that utilize people from the community to work with the younger generation to try to break that cycle of violence. We can look at things about how to reorient schools so that we don't need school police, that we bring back the counselors, we bring back the social workers, we get rid of zero tolerance disciplinary systems, we dial back the kind of teaching to the test approach to education that is alienating to kids and causes them to act out. We can develop new approaches to domestic violence. We can find supports for families so that they don't reach a crisis point. We can give the victims of domestic violence real avenues out of those situations if that's what they want, into stable housing, into real economic security for themselves. We can look at actually housing people instead of criminalizing them when they sleep in public transit or in parks and other public spaces. It needs to start with a roof over their head and be in combination with support services that are targeted to their individual needs so that they can maintain that housing. These unions are themselves powerful, but they're also a kind of institutional nexus for a whole set of deeply conservative right-wing forces who believe that the only way to solve the problems of poor and non-white people is to use police violence against them. This is a racist worldview, and we have to do everything we can to neutralize their political power. We have to hold politicians accountable when they take contributions from these unions. We have to make those contributions politically toxic. and force them to give that money back. And what's been happening the last 2 weeks is that dozens of politicians have been doing exactly that, because anyone who takes that money cannot be our friend.